My guests are seated already. I have to my right Elvis Darko, who is the editor of the Finder newspaper. Elvis, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. And then I also have to my left Umaru Sanda Amadou, who is the host of the Eyewitness News on City FM. Good morning, Umaru.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Please behave yourself.
I speak French. I mean, like in the Monday mornings before 9 a.m., I usually speak French. It's a natural thing. I don't have.
So you don't know French, but it comes out.
It just comes for 1 hour and then it goes.
Really?
Yeah.
Elvis, I have this problematic situation on my left here. I'm not sure how to deal with it, but let's dive straight into the stories. The first one I think we want to try and probe a bit and deal with is the issue of the mid-year budget review.
Is it possible to bother you a bit just before you even delve into the main issues? There's something that I think from the newspapers, you said something about the CID exonerating Charles Bissue.
Yes.
Is it the Finder?
It was the Graphic.
Daily Graphic.
The Daily Graphic,
Graphic.
yes.
Daily Graphic.
Front page of Daily Graphic. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's the Office of Special Prosecutor that is investigating this particular case.
Yes.
It's the Office of Special Prosecutor that has interrogated him. It's the Office of Special Prosecutor that would prosecute if there's need to prosecute, because they were the ones that were petitioned by Anas, Aremio Anas. Curiously, now we are told that the CID is exonerating them. So I'm finding it's like an investigation is not brought to City FM and we claim we have done the investigation.
Yeah.
So I know the police may take judicial notice of something, or they may take notice of a crime and decide to delve into it. But that would amount to double investigation if the special prosecutor is investigating one matter and then CID also claims they're investigating one matter. Because I am aware that, and we've reported on this, that Charles Bissue has reported to the Office of the Special Prosecutor several times to answer questions. Anas, Aremio Anas has gone there to answer questions and they've gone to show the videos to the Special Prosecutors team and so on. So I'm surprised now that the CID is exonerating. It's just one story that jumped at me that I thought I should share with you. It's a bit curious.
No, it is. I don't know.
What
Elvis,
happened was Anas filed his report with the special prosecutor. Then the people accused said they prefer CID, so they also filed another report at CID.
Is that even normal?
That's what we told.
Yeah. So the CID side
investigations going on. Because Anas said he prefers special prosecutor, and then they said they prefer CID. So there were two things going on at the same time. So looking at it, the claim from the CID, but I don't think that I just saw a snippet of actually what the CID has written. I think the last sentence on that did not say that the crime was not committed. What they're saying that the main witness in the case, they could not reach the person.
So it's Anas.
No, they said there's a gentleman called, there was a name.
Yeah, that's Anas's ally. Because Anas has written expressly that they are not going to corrupt.
So it's not an exoneration per se.
Yeah, if what I've read is what the CID has written,
it said, quote,
that they could not get...
It's a quote, at the conclusion of investigations based on the available evidence, none of the suspects was found to be culpable for any offense, unquote.
No, but that is what the story says. But what I've read, I've seen one online portal put the actual statement from the police. And I think the last but one statement says that there's a key witness to the case, and that person they could not reach. They called his phone and everything is off. And since they could not reach the key witness of the case, what they have deduced so far from it means that there's no case.
There's no case.
Elvis, based on what you have said, tomorrow when I'm driving, I'll jump the red light. If the police catch me, I'll tell them I don't want to be investigated by the police. I want to go to the fetish priest.
That's a valid point, because if the police they can't reach a key witness, they have the right to go to court to seek an order to mandate a witness to come and...
I'm referring to Bissue when he said that he doesn't want to be investigated by special prosecutor. But I know he's subjected...
But he went. Yeah, he went. He went. So it's not... If by what we know is the case, then this is not the end of the case. It means that the special prosecutor, if he finds something wrong... he can go to court by himself.
There's something they call in law double jeopardy, where you cannot...
No, he's not going to any court yet. No, but he's not going to... It's just investigation.
The issue...
So if he has gone to court, they are getting to the area of double jeopardy. But the case is not yet in court. So special prosecutor has every right to say,
continue.
For me, what I found, there's something wrong, so I'm putting the
It's an interesting story with this thing.
No, I think, and then in the next few days and weeks to come, it's going to get even deeper and more, as revelations come out. I think that the CID basically is saying that they are pulling the plug on their investigation.
They are done.
But as far as the special prosecutor is concerned,
yes, and that's the point. And so you will say probably Anas may be justified to go to the special prosecutor. He has dealt with the CID for years with several work that he's done. So for whichever reason he chose to go to the special prosecutor, I think there's a reason. So I think that whilst the police said we were not able to find anything to nail them, that's the police point of view. But then let's wait and see if the same verdict will come from the special prosecutor. Because the man who filed the complaint first, he went to special prosecutor. So the ball will now be in the court of the special prosecutor since the police said they are unable to find.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Let's go quickly into the story on the mid-year budget review. Government is supposed to be focusing on raising more revenue for certain policies. I want us to look at two different issues. First of all, what's the state of the economy at the moment as far as your perspectives are concerned? And then also, what areas do you think government should really focus on? And from this angle, that knowing elections are coming up, and during these electioneering seasons, there typically tends to be expenditures in certain areas. What are your thoughts regarding that? Let me start with you, Elvis.
Basically, if you look at the economic indicators, obviously, Ghana is in a very difficult situation when it comes to looking for money to run the state. And whilst the little they find, a lot of them go waste through corrupt practices, and some just because somebody is not doing his work well, is apparent that it is going to be so difficult for government to find revenue to do much. And one of the reasons is that the government has focused so much on the few people who pay tax and continues to tax them. The talk of government going to use the mid-year review to raise revenue, you ask yourself, how is government going to do it? The only thing that comes to mind is government going to raise some taxes, or government is going to do some new taxes. Those are the things that come to mind. This is the state, as the governor has said. There are issues about Ghana's debt stock. We are now 200 billion cedis, which is $38.8 billion. Out of that amount, 20.5 billion is external debt.
Okay.
20.5 external debt, and 18.3 is domestic debt. Last year, the debt ended at 173 billion cedis. According to figures from the finance ministry, the interest we paid on our debt last year is 21 billion cedis. That is the interest alone. We are not paying part of the debt, just the interest on the debt. 21 billion. Meanwhile, the total revenue we raised is just about 37 billion. So if you look at the dynamics, it means that we are using over 55 to 60% of the tax revenue we are generating just to pay only interest on our debt. So if you bring in wages and salaries, government has no money to do any other thing. So then you have a deficit. A deficit means I have 100 cedis. I want to buy something that is 200. So it means I have to go and borrow the 100 before I can buy what is 200. That is what's meant by deficit. So since government cannot raise the revenue, and all that we are raising, we only need to pay salaries and wages and interest on our loans. Any development project or any government needs to do, it means that government has to go and borrow. The more you borrow, the more you increase the interest you are paying on your loans. If last year we paid 21 billion on its 173 billion debt, we are 200 billion. So you can see that the interest will be paid on 200 billion maybe this year, maybe 25 or 27 billion. Interestingly, what grows an economy is called capital expenditure. In last year's budget, the total appropriation for capital expenditure is just about 7 billion. So it means that the interest we paid on our loans is 3 times the money we are using trying to engineer the economic growth. So obviously, we are in a tight corner as a country. And I don't see how the minister is going to be able to increase revenue. I know that he has come and done a lot, because before they took over, revenue is just about The tax revenue was just about 20 billion.
Yeah.
They've raised it to about 37 billion. And now they are targeting, I think, about 60 billion. But the point, how do you get it?
Yeah, how do you position your arguments in relation to smart borrowing?
No, you see, there's nothing. You see, why is it smart borrowing?
That's something that the government has touted.
Tekpe has said it.
Yeah.
Where did it take us? We are prolonging the debt we owe now because they are getting to the maturity. We say, let's extend the maturity date. It's like you have a sickness. It will definitely get there. So you see, until we come to the levels that we will be raising good revenue, that our expenditure on interest payment will be lower. Once we have more expenditure on capital expenditure, then we are making progress. But for now, things are so tight. But you see, it's all because the state has failed to formalize the economy. Okay? Last week, I spoke to somebody who said he was going to fix 3 air conditions for somebody in his home. For each air conditioner, he charged 150 Ghana cedis. And he did all the work in one day. So that day, he alone made 450 cedis.
Yeah.
But because he's an air conditioning technician who was going to fix it, he pays no tax from that 450 Ghana cedis he makes. Yeah. So you can calculate how much he makes in a month. But that person doesn't pay any tax to the state.
Yeah.
Because we have not formalized the system. We don't know where people stay. We don't know people's addresses. We don't know what people do. And therefore, we are finding it difficult to tax them. So all of the few people in the formal sector are the ones that we are putting so much pressure on. And then increasing duties at the port. If you do these things, you only bring pressure on yourself. So until we formalize our economy, we know where people stay. We know what people do. We know how much they are able to earn. And we are able to tell them, because you earn so much, you'll be able to pay this. Elsewhere, you even go and do a menial job that you are not being paid monthly. You are paying daily wage. But the employer is under law to make sure that even the daily wage he pays you, he takes away whatever is for the state before he pays you. Yeah. We must be able to. That is why our failure to do a project like national identification is a major disaster for us. Because if we had done national identification, we would have known every Ghanaian.
Doing it.
But how long will it take us? We started in 2010. If we had done it earlier, the economy would be more formalized by now. Would have known what a lot of people are making. Would have been getting what we deserve. The revenue would go up. Because see, the country as Ghana, you see it doesn't do any business.
No.
What you do is to collect taxes and get money from grants and loans, and then whatever you get from your natural resources. These are the 3 sources of revenue for a government. We are not discovering any new oil that is adding any revenue this year. Whatever we know already. We have done our projections against them already. But as you see, we are running deficit. Okay. How much we wanted to spend? We are spending more than
I will come back
what you want to spend.
I'll come back to you, Elvis. Can we not be more productive? Elvis says that government as it is doesn't do business. But can government not do business and be more productive? So let me just juxtapose what I'm saying as to what I'm thinking so that you can see clearly. If say, for example, we have our cocoa, right? We go, instead of selling cocoa beans to foreigners for them to make cocoa and to make chocolate and whatever they make out of it, why don't we become more productive so that we can now compete, and say that Hershey's and whoever are selling chocolate, so is Ghana, and we are selling chocolate at similar quantities and quality of products in the international market. Will that not make government more productive?
Yes, I think already government is already making these plans to be productive. As to whether they are being productive in building their productivity base is another question. And this is what I mean. This is a government that said it was going to construct one factory per district. Now imagine the economic benefits of having a factory in Shai Osudoku, having a factory in Savlugu Nanton, for instance, having a factory in Zabzugu Tatali. What it means is that the people who live in that area, the youth in that area would have their work to do. Yeah. There would be no pressure on the Tamale metropolis because there will be no brain drain. All right. That's how important this one district, one factory is. That's not all. If I produce tomatoes in the Upper East region and there's a Polugu tomato factory as part of the one district, one factory, or if I'm from Tumu in the Sisala East district and I produce maybe corn, for instance, and there's a corn processing factory in that area, I should easily be able to sell my produce off. What that means is that my produce will not rot away on the market. That's some benefit to the state. Yeah. All right. there's also less pressure on the youth moving to the regional capitals and for that matter, the national capital. The one district, one factory is one productive way that government can do this. Because from the onset, they said to us that it is not just going to be factories, but it's going to be factories that are built based on what the communities need. So they said each district was supposed to come up with what their produce are, their raw materials are, and they'll do that for them. So for instance, in Klotikole, where we are now, which is the district, what do we produce here? Yeah. Then they have to do a factory alongside that now. But they have not done that, you know. They haven't done that, sadly. And what they have ended up doing is to go and, you know, put billboards and recommission existing factories. They have done one in my village, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not just making up this idea.
Where's that?
There's a factory around Congo, which is in the Shire Sodoku district, where Osafo Mafo went to commission. This is a factory that has been producing soy milk. It's been there long before I came to Accra. Chinese factory, and then you go and commission it and say one district, one factory. It makes absolute no sense. You know.
So there was no extra investment?
No, when I spoke to the DC, what he said was that they gave them technical training. I mean, technical training, you said you're going to build a factory. You didn't say you're going to give one technical training, one district, you know. So that is one way. For me, this issue of the budget review, and Elvis has already talked about the macro and all the economic stuff. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to talk about the ordinary man who is going to listen to Ken Oforiatta in Parliament. When he comes and speaks all those jargons, what do they mean? For me, what I want, and for an ordinary person, what I want is that when I go to the port to import, and if I have a vehicle coming through, if I have a container of Obroniwe wood that I'm bringing in, and if I'm allowed to bring them in, and I go to the shop, to the port to import, I shouldn't be paying killer taxes. This is a government that has celebrated the scrapping of so many taxes. But I kid you not, if you go to import anything and you go to the port, there's a huge trouble. All right. For an ordinary person who bought straw from Kasua to Accra every day, he wants to see his fare stable or reduced at best. Yeah. Would that happen? The trotro driver would expect that the fuel at the pumps should not be increasing in terms of price. That is what he expects to see. It doesn't matter how Ken Oforiatta will explain that in Parliament. The practicality is what he wants. For the person who is having a small factory or a small shop, if say a tailoring shop, cost of production, electricity, tariffs are very important. Utilities, water. Recently, we saw the increase in water and electricity tariffs. People do not want that. That's not what they want from their government. So you can read all the budget you want. You can read the media budget all you want. But if the hassle on the street is real, that would expose you, and that is a problem. And I think that is something that Ken Oforiatta and the government should be paying attention to. For all these lofty figures about targets and so on. The targets are important for the books and so on, of course, so that we look good internationally. But what's the reality on the ground? For me, that's what people want to know. The salary they take home at the end of the month, how useful is that to them?
What's the issue with the disconnect between the macroeconomic factors, indicators, and so on, and the reality on the ground that we are seeing, people are experiencing? How come the disconnect?
I think generally when politicians campaign, they will tell you that they want to make your life, they want to make life easy for everybody. Yes. That's what they say. Yes. And that is why generally people would gravitate towards a political party or another. Elvis in his submission has said that the figures look good, the indices are fine, and so on. But why are people not happy? People were promised things that they were going to see. Are they seeing these things? Those are the hard questions that have to be asked. I think the governments it's not like they don't know that they have to do what they have to do. I think they know. Perhaps it's just that they have to struggle with a lot of things. There are so many things. Look, we are told by people who watch the space that this free SHS being implemented by this government has been a huge burden on the national purse. And whether we like it or not, it is huge. I mean, the budget is almost like, and I have been told by people who watch the space that the budget for a lot of sectors have been cut down just so that free SHS is propped up. Yeah. Free SHS is wonderful, but you cannot just be progressing on free SHS and leaving everything else behind.
So it's not sustainable?
Agriculture, they said they've introduced, it's not that it's not sustainable. I think there should be plans. They said they're going to use the oil money and so on to do it. But I'm just saying that you cannot just focus on free SHS and leave everything else. It will not work, because we have agric, we have industry, we have all these places that need help. So you cannot focus on free SHS. And if it is a fact that health sector and so other sectors are being abandoned just so that we make free SHS look good, then that'll be a problem. Because mind you, the government promised on all the sectors and they said that they were going to do this and that and that, and they said they're going to restore teacher allowances. The teachers are complaining that they're not being paid. The nurses, they've introduced a very grandiose and lofty project called the Nation Builders Corps, NAPCO. They've recruited 100,000 people. Of course, some of the beneficiaries are complaining that they are not being paid. As we speak, the youth in afforestation are lamenting, and indeed they've sent us various press releases complaining that they have not been paid for 4 months. I mean, that's huge. So you may be doing well in one sector, but if you fail in other sectors, mind you, it's not just the education sector that holds this country together. So that's something for me that I would say to Ken Ofrenta. Make it simple, make it real, make it practical when you go to present the media budget.
No, so, Sandra, before we leave this topic, can we look at a model, and Elvis, you can also come in on this just a few seconds before we go and break. Can we look at a different model of funding, for example, the free SHS, where we say that, okay, if we say oil money, why don't we, rather than the money coming into some coffers and then the money being decided how to spend the money, right? You know, Goldfields recently built a 33-kilometer road, okay, in Takwadama. You know, why do we have a model like that where we say that, look, we'll put certain industries like the oil, for example, and say, you pay directly and deal with this? How would that work?
Okay.
Before you submit, let's take a short break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Sandra, you were about to make a submission on a suggestion. Why don't we spend our money a certain way or another? Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying, and I've heard this argument before. I just need to reiterate that for me personally, I actually support scholarships because if it wasn't because of scholarships, I wouldn't have made it to secondary school. Okay. So I celebrate free SHS and I appreciate it so much because I know so many people who couldn't have gone to school if it wasn't because of SHS, free SHS. And for me, it was a district scholarship that worked for me. That's important. But you see, it's not every parent who cannot afford senior high school. Yeah. There are parents who send their children to private basic schools. If you send your child to private basic school from nursery or kindergarten all the way to GSS 3, government has no business sponsoring your ward in secondary school. Okay. That's my belief. It means that you can. That's what you are doing, right? Yeah. But if my ward has been in Asutrai Junction DA Basic School from KG all the way to GSS 3, and I could have sent them to the city to go to another school, but I never did it because I cannot, I am entitled to free SHS. So this is my thinking. Find a way, and it's very easy. We know people's salary levels, we know people's preferences. Go to them and say to them, look, we are building a country. We're introducing free SHS. But we've noticed that you've paid for your ward from basic school from class 1 all the way to GSS 3. We have the feeling that you can pay for your ward in secondary school. Are you interested in paying for your ward in secondary school? But there's a way we could do that. Yeah. Or we could say that for all these people, we don't put them in the boarding house. So if you attended a private basic school, don't put them in boarding house. Because see, boarding house is a huge cause that we have not considered as part of this free SHS thing. There are people who've made the argument that we should scrap this boarding system altogether.
To save money?
Yeah, to save money. Because the amount we pay for boarding user fees, bed user fees as they call them, is huge. The percentage in terms of the general school fees that a student pays is a significant chunk. Imagine if we cut down boarding house and converted all the boarding houses into hostels, into classrooms, right? That means more access. Yeah. What it will mean is that instead of having 60 to 70 students in one classroom, you split that into two. So one dormitory now becomes a classroom. So 30 go to the dormitory, 30 remain in the classroom. Okay. So you have contact hours would be easier. The interaction between the lecturer or the teacher and the students would be more. And then you have more space and you can absorb more students into the school. Yeah. Any student who wants to be housed should go get a hostel, right? Now this gives jobs and businesses to hostel builders. People will now build hostels around schools and start renting out, right? If you're a parent and you live in Tamale and you think that your child must go to Achimota Secondary School at all costs, that is your business. If your child comes to Accra, you find them a hostel. beautiful. There are people who make that argument.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there are people who love the fact that they were in a boarding house and they were in a secondary school. There's something that they remember learning from I learned a lot of things from boarding house. But is it serving our purpose now? It is a question that has been asked, and it's an argument that has been pounded. Maybe we should consider that. So let's let SHS finance itself. If you convert the boarding house into classrooms, or you can even convert them into hostels, you will be making money, internally generated funds. And for the life of me, I don't understand why this government is so fixated on free SHS that they say that parents should not support in any way. I think that is wrong.
Okay.
If parents go to sit at PTA, Parent Teacher Association, and they say we want to pay so much, or want our students to pay so much, because we want to put up a canteen, or want to put up a classroom block, or want to put a boarding house, I think they should be allowed.
Okay.
But this thing where central government thinks someone is undermining free SHS, so they will not allow you to help, I think it's wrong.
Is it time to relook at the way we finance these expensive social projects, to unburden the government and free up money so that the economy can breathe, as it were, and grow?
These social policies, it's an admission that we have failed to empower the citizens to earn enough to take care of themselves. Because if I work and I get...
No, but in every country, social policies work anyway.
But the massive level of social policies in our part of the world, it's not helping. It's just an admission that many people can't find a decent job and can't earn a decent salary. When you talk about, if you look at the percentages, yes, it's small. Even though in absolute, because of their population level, they may be bigger. But in terms of percentage, they are very small people that they need to support. Okay? But you see, for me, free SHS, and it's a good, I support it 100% because some of us came from the village and we know how difficult it is for our parents to pay our school fees. What we went through to be here has not been easy. So for me, any opportunity that gives people opportunity to go to school for free, I support it 100%. Okay. But I also hold the view that, first of all, I think that the former PND's education minister, forgetting the name, I wrote an article that, look, it's not sustainable because everywhere where secondary school education is free, it is day. It is not boarding because the boarding is too expensive. So even in the UK and America, it's not free. It's not boarding. It's day. So everybody had the same benefits from the same. Now somebody's child is in boarding, somebody's child is day. Yet government pays for both of them. Meanwhile, the one in boarding, maybe the parents can pay.
So you agree with what Sanda was saying?
Absolutely. That look, Rwanda, they stratified their population into 5 categories. Top being those who are earning well. They graduated to the one are the poorest who can't afford anything. The one get a lot of things for free from the state. But those from 5, 4, 3, they pay for everything. So the people they are supporting are the people who really need the help.
Yeah.
There was a policy where these assemblies were empowered to offer scholarships to people in their localities who they know that parents can't afford because they live in their locality, so they know them. So they can identify that, oh, indeed, this person's parent can't pay, and therefore the assembly is taken. I don't know for whatever reason, we rather abandoned that policy and decided, I wish if Free SHS had expanded that policy rather and deboardinized everybody, so that if I want my child to go to Cape Coast and be a boarder, I pay for the accommodation, I pay for light, I pay for water, everything, so that we are all having same benefit from the SHS. But now, the children of the rich, who can pay for their accommodation, can pay for their fees and everything, are the ones whose children are even at the boarding. So I've said that for schools that are like Cape Coast, Accra, the cities, we should deboardinize everybody. But the schools in my village, where one village from the other is about 5 miles, another one is about 5 miles, we should have boarding schools in those areas rather. Because those places, the walking distance to the school is far. So then if you have boarding schools rather in the rural areas, deep villages, it helps the scattered communities, their children to go there. But in populated areas like Accra, all regional capitals and major cities, all schools should be deboardinized, should be day. If you want your child to go there, you have rent accommodation for your child. Then the boarding facility will be converted. You see, when they started it, there was this professor at the University of Mines, and he did a research in Francophone countries. When they wanted to do free education, they deboardinized every student. And they converted their dormitories into classrooms. So they had enough space to occupy the students and everybody. So you see, for me, Even the free SHS we talk about is burdening government. How much are we spending on free SHS? And look at the waste that is in the system.
Yeah.
We speak right now, we gave $200 million to a contractor to build an affordable housing project. We paid the $200 million. According to work that has been done, the total work is done on the site will only be about $70 million. So it means that contractor has taken our $130 million away, free. If you ask me what $130 million can do for free SHS, it's a lot. But we have given it to a few individuals, and they have taken it away. So for me, if we are spending it on free SHS for children of majority of children, parents to benefit, it is worth it. The only thing is that we should stop the wastage in the system. We should make sure that everybody whose son or child is in this country is paying some form of tax to the state. Because people are doing a lot of artisans in this country make more money than you, those of us sitting here. They make more money at the end of the month than us. But for us, before our salary goes to the bank, because we are a corporate entity, our taxes are deducted. But for that person who is making about 3 or 4 times what you are making, is not paying any person in terms of income tax to the state. Right. That is why formalization of the economy, to make sure that everybody contributes his or her quota to national development is key. Without it, we only have to borrow. Because we'll be demanding for roads, we'll be demanding for water, we'll demand for everything. But the revenue that is coming from only few people, and it's not enough. And therefore, if the government has to do the things we are asking them to do, the only way is to borrow. And when you borrow and you get to a certain limit, all the revenue you are collecting now will now be going into paying interest on your loan, not even the principal. So if you start paying principal, you may even be in more problem. And at the end of the day, there will be no development. So you can't borrow your way out also out of crisis. So you must understand that, as you said, rightly said, what can we do? Can we look at light industrialization? An American professor came to my office last week. He spent only 1 week here. 4 days time he came to my office. The first question is, why do we import everything as a country in the tropics? He said everything he picked from a supermarket in Ghana that he bought, when you look at it, it's made from China. It's made from Venezuela. It's made from Bangladesh. It's made from somewhere. Food, like fruit juice, chicken. And he said these things, and they are so expensive compared to how much he buys same things in America. And he said, how can a poor country like Ghana be buying fruit juice, chicken and all this are such expensive, but when in America those things are so cheap, and therefore we can't be out of poverty. The man spent only 4 days before he came to my office, but he was able to make all these observations and say, look, we are not going anywhere if we continue to import all these things when we are supposed to be the one producing and rather exporting part of it because of our climate. So if we are not taking light industrialization seriously, we are not thinking of adding proper value, if we are not thinking of formalizing the economy for everybody to pay some tax to the state, then the issue of borrowing cannot be stopped. Because
what happened to our digitizing Ghana agenda? Is that not supposed to have helped with this
And
problem?
now I hear they say they are going to deploy some NAPCO students from NAPCO graduates from next month to go the whole of Ghana and emboss. And that was what some of us said from the beginning. That telling me that I should use my phone to create an address is not even wise. You come and create the address for me and give it to me. That is my address from now. This is what I'm known for. But they said we should create an address. Now it's a complete failure. And it's not worked. Now they want to deploy people now to go out there, come to your house, number it, put the number for you, which was the thing some of us have said from the beginning.
Someone who cannot read an SMS text, you're asking them to generate a code.
How many have smartphones? What research have we done about how many people have smartphones to be able to create a system?
Let's advance our conversation. We want to talk about the Architects Registration Council. Now, in 1969, the Architects Act was established, and out of that came the Architects Registration Council. Now, it looks like there's a lot of agitation at the moment because of this issue of David Ajayi, whether he's registered here, he's not registered here, is he Ghanaian, is he not Ghanaian, why is he getting all these contracts, and so on and so forth. So they are saying that since 2017, there has not been a board for the Architects Registration Council. Now, a question I want to ask is, how problematic is that for the functioning of a council?
The problem is that a board is, of course, a board runs an organization, and so they need to do everything. They have to go through their board. They have to check everything with their board before they do. What it means is that they are now a toothless bulldog almost. They have all the powers, but they cannot execute because they don't have a board. All right. How come they do not have a board? It's simple, because we have made our president Superman. We made our president Iron Man, Captain Planet. Everything the president has to do. Even if he doesn't have an interest in it, he has to do it anyway. Why do we have to have an executive system that is run around a single person who is so powerful that he appoints, hundreds of people into various offices? President appoints DCEs, president appoints ministers, appoints deputies, appoints head of MMDAs, appoints even PROs at some point. PROs are appointed by the president or head of communication, whatever you call them. Otherwise, they said their last meeting was in March, and they were assured that their board would be put together.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah, and 4 months on, they still don't have this board. Why don't we just delegate these powers sometimes to the minister for Works and Housing? Because this is under Ministry of Works and Housing.
Agency of Works,
It's an agency of Works, put it under, so say Atachia, that's his job. Or even put it under the Department of Works. Or Department of Works and Housing. We have something like that. Let them do that delegation. I don't understand, because the president is busy. Charlie, he just returned from leave. He's been having leave, trying to have fun in London. He's tired. And then you want him to come and he probably has so many things on his table, and now you want him to be appointing a board for something.
Yeah.
And I think we need to start working together as a constitution, or work on our constitution to cut down some of the powers of the president. I think it is important. It is one sure way of decentralization. It's one sure way of developing ourselves. 2, the issue of David Ajayi, sir. I think it is unfair. He could be the best architect in the world. He could be the best. He could actually even be the one who designed the solar system. But it doesn't mean we should breach our own rules.
He's God's architect?
Yeah. It doesn't mean we should breach our own rules to award him a contract when he doesn't deserve.
Okay.
All right. It is simple. There are basic requirements. It says that you have to have a certain qualification, or otherwise you are not fit to do anything in Ghana. Does the gentleman have the qualifications? Yes. But does he have the license? No. And if he doesn't have the license to operate, look, you could be the safari driver. You could be driving a safari. What's the name of those fast cars in Dubai?
Formula One.
Yes. Yeah. You could be driving in the desert of Dubai. But when you come to Ghana, Ferrari. Yeah, in not Safari, Ferrari. Forgive me. In
driving
Dubai.
a Ferrari.
Yes, in Dubai, you could be the best driver for whatever, any of those car companies. But when you come to Ghana and you want to drive on the N1 highway, you need a Ghanaian driver's clearance. Yes. You need a clearance too. And that is what we are saying with this gentleman. Or that's what the organization is saying with this gentleman. That he may be all where he is, but he's not fit to do the job he's doing in Ghana. And that is a problem. 12 projects for just one human being. Why? And the research is even showing that he's not even really Ghanaian. He doesn't hold a Ghanaian citizenship. He holds a British citizenship. And that is Tanzania.
But that should not necessarily be problematic.
No, it doesn't matter. We have contractors we've given who are international. I'm just saying that if you want to give a foreigner a job in this country, there are procedures. Just go through the procedures. Someone clearly has an interest in ensuring that Sir David Ajayi and associates are given contracts. And that could be the reason that we are seeing what we are seeing. And I'm happy that these architects have raised alarm. And they should continue to make the noise. Because democracy, the only thing we have is a mouth. We don't have anything else. We have a mouth and we have a thumb. We use the thumb only once every 4 years. But we can use the mouth every day. Even when we are asleep, we can be talking. Let's use it. And we can use our feet at a point if we want to. I think these architects should keep on with the campaign, and the media should give them all the needed support. If, so far as their story is factual and accurate, they should be given all the airtime to trumpet their campaign as much as they can.
Elvis, the challenge of, I think that sometimes we run the risk of saying that, look, are you not just being petty? Are you not just being, it's like, how do we say it, skimping? Down. Somebody has it, you don't have it, so it's paining you. Is that not what's happening here, or is there real substance to? Because Augustus Richardson, who happens to is a good friend of mine, was the one who made the comment and said that, look, we will take it up. If the government doesn't move on this ASAP, we're going to take this up. He's given up to the end of July to say that we need to see traction on this issue. Otherwise, we may have to, go to court.
I think that's for a board. I don't know why they don't have a board. Because it only takes the president to appoint people and say you are board members and they're sworn into office.
Yeah.
So for me, that one, I think that the government can resolve it. But for me, The issue about Sir David Ajayi is what we need to all look at dispassionately. Let's look at the facts. Yes, he's a renowned architect. He's designed many
renowned
projects
and celebrated
everywhere, many from America to wherever. He's done great jobs.
He's one of ours, so why don't we let him just go ahead and do it?
There is no doubt about that. And he winning a contract in Ghana is not a problem. But the question is, did he follow procedure? The question they are asking is, what real procedures were followed to give him the various contracts? For me, if the procedures were followed and he won all of them legitimately, who has any problem? But I think that the people who are complaining are saying that they believe that the procedures were not followed, and they don't think that that is the right thing. And if that is true, then I will want to share in their pain. Because you see, David Ajayi himself was a young person some time ago.
Yeah.
If he wasn't given a fair playing ground to compete with others, we may not know him as a very important person today.
Yeah.
It is because he was given that opportunity some time ago, and he competed with others and won competitively and designed those buildings. Today we know him. If those in Ghana are not being given the same fair ground, then it's not fair. Because it is only when we give them the fair opportunity and they compete and they are also able to win some and design some, that we can point that Kofi Mensah designed this, Amma designed this. You understand it?
Yeah.
So I believe that if the issue is about procedure and it's not being followed, then I think that as a state, we should just take it in good faith and say from now on, everything we'll do, we'll let the process be open and let the right things be done. Because there may be a lot of great people, Ghanaian architects who are working, but they just need an opportunity, compete competitively with somebody on a bid, win it because probably their design is the best, and build it. And from there, they also gain their international reputation. So I think that if what is done, if it is true procedures are not followed, I'm very sure that when Ajayi was a fresh person, if other countries did not follow procedure, he may not have won one, even one, because at that time he was nobody and he did not know anybody. So he wouldn't have won anything if he was denied that fair opportunity. So I think that the issue should be fair opportunity to all. Let all of them go to the process, and then let's see who has the best design, and let the person do the work. From there, we'll begin to realize that, oh, there are young Ghanaians who are even doing better. The last time I on social media, I saw 2 young ladies, Ghanaians, and if you see the kind of work they are doing as architects, when I look at their design, I'm like, wow, these young ladies are fantastic. But if we don't give them the opportunity to bid for national projects and win some and design it, how are we going to be able to recognize their talent and potential?
Great.
So let the fairness prevail and let everybody have the opportunity to compete on a fair ground. Whoever wins it on a fair ground, I don't think anybody will complain. But I think that the issue they are saying is that the contract are being given to him and the way it is being done
is skewed.
They
it's
believe
not fair.
that it's skewed. They are not being involved. They don't have the opportunity to compete with him. They are not saying that he's not a good architect. That's not the argument. They are not saying that he doesn't qualify to get those jobs. They are not saying that. They say, give us all the same platform. Let's all compete. And let's see who wins fairly. If he wins fairly, we have no problem. But we believe that currently, things are being skewed for me, and we don't think. And I think every young professional should support the architect, because if it happens to you as an upcoming professional, you will never become somebody tomorrow. So fairness is key in every field.
Okay, so we quickly want to talk about the IPPs and the rescinding of their decision to shut down power. It looks like the combined total of power that the IPPs are producing is about 1,500 megawatts, which is a huge chunk, so if they say they're going to shut down, that's a big deal. But now the threat of Dumso has sort of, moved into the background quietly for now. What's the fallout from this? Where do you see this going?
I think this is a postponed Dumso. That's what it is. Now, our governments have gotten used to threats.
As in, we are delaying the
we're just delaying.
reality.
If you don't threaten them, they will not act.
Okay.
So debts accrue, they pretend they haven't seen it. The moment you come out and say we are going to shut down, then they'll give you 100,000. 100 million or 200 million?
200 million.
Yeah.
CDs.
Yes, out of what, 600 or
700.
Yeah. And then they say they've rescheduled the threat. They'll wait again. In a month's time, they'll come back again and say the same thing. And then the government will give them small.
But if it works, then we stay alive. We are not going to
but why do you even have to accrue the debt? I mean, everybody would accrue a debt, but why don't you pay the people? These are private companies who are trying to to do business, and then you will not pay them their money.
We discussed just earlier on that the money is not enough to go around. So,
but how did we even
get small?
Okay, they sold a commodity to you? They sold power to you.
Yeah.
Did you also intend to sell the power to Ghanaians or not? When you paid to Ghanaians, when you supplied to Ghanaians, did Ghanaians pay you the bill or not?
Okay.
If they paid, most of us are on prepaid now.
Yeah.
Prepaid means that we pay before we receive the thing.
Yeah.
So why? But it's simple. It's like you go to the farmer, you go and buy his tomatoes. You go and take it on credit. You take it to the market and say that next market week when I come, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
You go to the market, you display the tomatoes, then people buy, they pay you. You go back to the farm and you say to the farmer that, oh, give me another week. Why? What happened? They've paid you. Take off your profit and give me back my money. I think it is that simple, isn't it, Elvis? Why would we have
the power sector is not that simple.
No,
and that's
simple.
The problem.
What do you think about the situation right now?
It is not. Why is it not simple?
It's not.
We have a meter on our wall.
Yes.
We pay money to get the credit.
I know what you're saying, but it's not that simple in the power sector.
What's the difficulty?
Because the difficulty in the power sector is that, you see, what they take from us when we pay doesn't pay maybe even 40% of the
they introduce subsidies. Who sent them?
But why not?
Because there are critical challenges in the sector. And until we fix those challenges aggressively, the debts in the power sector will continue to mount and choke the government.
What sorts of challenges are you talking about?
Yes. Look at power production in Ghana. If you compare the cost of our power to Ivory Coast, our power is so expensive. Why? Because the plant cost us more than we should have paid. Because if you compare the same power plant, thermal, the cost Ivory Coast built it, and you compare to Ghana, Ivory Coast is building thermal power plants far, far cheaper than the cost.
So you are saying the cost of production of the power we use is too expensive?
That is but the tariffs that the PRC determines is an issue. And then, two, we signed the power purchase agreement with these companies in dollars.
Okay.
So we have to change cedis into dollars to pay them. The CD keeps sliding. So when the CD slides, it means that you need more CDs to be able to offset the dollar bill. And that is what is making our national debt go up.
Okay.
If you check our debts in dollars, it hasn't really gone up extensively.
Yeah.
But when checking CDs, it has ballooned because the CD keeps losing value by the day. So once your CD keeps losing value and you are paying the IPPS in dollars, it means that when they sell the power to us in CDs, by the time they collect the money to go and pay the IPPS and CD slides, there's a hole.
Yeah.
So there are critical issues in the power sector that if we don't take aggressive steps to address, the power sector crisis will just, as he said, we will just keep postponing and struggling to go and find some money. This one, government struggled to find $50 million, that's $200 million to pay them, so that they don't go. Okay. But then the struggle will continue.
Just before you go, a few years ago, I had a conversation with someone who said that they had been living in a Shaiman for 7 years. And 7 years prior to that moment when we spoke, they had procured a meter.
Yes.
Okay. As at the time we were speaking, nobody had ever come to the house.
That is a fact. But
to even bring a bill.
Yes, so I told you the last time that the power we produce, almost the commercial and technical losses put together is almost 30%. But we are supposed to pay that to the power generator. We didn't use it. You and I didn't use the power. But then that money is supposed to be paid to the producer because there are so much inefficiencies.
Yeah.
The ECG at the time was not proactive to some of this. Now, a private company has taken it. If you talk to people, they will tell you, Charlie, these new people, they are wild. You will be there or they come to your house, they say they are checking your meter. So now we are getting some efficiency.